Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Right here over my shoulder is Miss Sharon Whitson with the Seattle Hemp Fest. Thanks for coming in, Sharon. I didn't get my collar very straight. Next to me is Eric Llewellyn.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
And over beside him is Nathan Marsh from the Oregon Hemp Fest.
Hello, hello.
And so, Nathan, this is going to be your 4th Oregon Hemp Fest?
Yep.
And it's just north of Roseburg.
Yeah, Oakland, Oregon.
Oakland.
Yeah.
The little Oakland.
Yeah, I say Oakland, everybody says California. No, it's Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Sharon, how many Seattle Hemp Fest is this?
27th annual Seattle Hemp Fest.
Well, that's a lot. Over in the wings, Mr. John Cornett is ready to play us a song. Welcome back, John.
Thank you.
We have our standard hemp news, some videos from the Seattle Hemp Fest, and our friend Jorge Cervantes, and we'll be back in just a moment after our dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
From right here in River City, Portland, Oregon, the United States Attorney for the state of Oregon says in a memo that he will prioritize enforcement of marijuana overproduction and interstate trafficking in Oregon. Oregon's U.S. Attorney Billy Williams is the first U.S. Attorney to detail his strategy for enforcing federal drug laws in a state where marijuana is legal. The memo, released a week ago, comes 3 months after Williams convened a summit in Portland to discuss what he calls a, quote, significant overproduction, end quote, of marijuana in the state that's driving a black market and illegal trafficking to other states that have not legalized cannabis. Williams also says his office will focus on underage marijuana use and on cases that involve violent crime, organized crime, and environmental damage. Williams notes that his office must, quote, strategically consider, end quote, which cases to pursue given his resources. Our next story tonight is from Phoenix, Arizona. The Phoenix Supreme Court has upheld an appellate court decision striking down a 2012 law that sought to forbid medical cannabis access on college campuses. Tom Dean, a longtime pro-cannabis attorney there in Arizona, represented the patient defendant in the case pro bono and called the decision a victory for democracy. Arizona justices opined that the 2012 law was unconstitutional because it impermissibly sought to amend the Arizona Medical Marijuana Act, which voters passed in 2010. State law limits the legislature's ability to amend, repeal, or supersede voter-initiated laws there in Arizona. The judge wrote, quote, because the AMMA sets forth a list of locations where the legislature may impose civil, criminal, or other penalties when a person possesses or uses marijuana, and because that list does not include colleges and university campuses, unlike primary, and secondary school grounds, we assume that voters did not intend to criminalize AMMA-compliant possession or use of marijuana on public college or university campuses, end quote, the court ruled. It further rejected the Arizona state's claim that a campus-wide ban was necessary in order to preserve universities' federal funding. Attorney Tom Dean said, quote, if the state had prevailed, they could have then tampered with any and all ballot initiatives, past, present, future. This is a victory for all Arizona voters and especially for medical marijuana patients, end quote. The ruling sets aside the felony conviction of defendant Andrew Lee Maestas, who was initially charged and found guilty of possession of less than half a gram of cannabis despite his status as a state-registered medical cannabis patient. Our next story is from Boston, Massachusetts. The majority of oncologists believe that the use of medical cannabis is either as effective or somewhat more effective than conventional treatments for managing the symptoms of cancer, according to data published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology. A team of investigators led by researchers at the Dana-Farber Cancer Clinic randomly surveyed oncologists' belief with regard to the safety and efficacy of cannabis therapy. 65% of the respondents said that medical cannabis was equally effective or more effective than standard treatments for addressing appetite loss and cachexia. The majority of the respondents also believed that cannabis was safe and effective as an adjunctive treatment for anxiety and pain. Half of the respondents said that cannabis was as effective or more effective than conventional medications in treating nausea, and 70% viewed marijuana as equally safe or safer than opioids. The survey also reported that some 80% of oncologists had engaged in discussions with their patients about the use of cannabis, although in over half of those instances it was either patients or their families rather than the oncologists themselves who prompted the conversation. In Seattle, researchers at the University of Washington AIDS Clinical Trial Unit, or ACTU, are seeking patients currently who use medical marijuana for pain, cancer, and other conditions to contact them to participate in a study there in Seattle at the University of Washington. This study, Medical Oncologists' Beliefs, Practices, and Knowledge Regarding Marijuana Use Therapeutically, a nationally representative survey study, appears in the Clinical Journal of Oncology. Out of New York State, the state of New York would gain an estimated $434 million annually in new tax revenue under a regulated adult use marijuana market, according to an analysis prepared by New York City's Comptroller's Office. The report estimates the size of the statewide cannabis market at $3.1 billion in New York State. The comptroller wrote, quote, "Our analysis shows that a 10% retail excise tax on marijuana sales, together with sales tax at an existing rate of 4%, would generate roughly $436 million in New York State tax revenue annually," end quote, the authors determined. They further opine that legalization will yield social benefits and cost savings. The comptroller wrote, quote, "In addition to potential budgetary savings resulting from fewer arrests, there are human benefits to legalization, such as reducing the damaging impact of a criminal record on future employment opportunities, access to housing, education, and credit, the ability to obtain an occupational license, and many other areas of life," end quote, they concluded. The full text of this report, Estimated Tax Revenues from Marijuana Legalization in New York, is available online at www.comptroller.nyc.gov. That's comptroller.nyc.gov. Also out of New York, the daily administration of proprietary CBD extract, Epidiolex, from Sativex, is safe and effective in the treatment of Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, a severe form of pediatric epilepsy, according to data published in the New England Journal of Medicine. An international team of researchers assessed the adjunctive daily administration of either 10 milligrams or 20 milligrams of CBD versus placebo over a period of 14 weeks in 225 patients with the disease. Subjects taking the higher dose experienced a 42% reduction in seizure frequency. Those taking the lower dose experienced a 37% reduction, but also reported experiencing fewer side effects. The most commonly reported adverse side effects were somnolence, decreased appetite, and diarrhea. The findings are similar to those of prior randomized studies evaluating the use of Epidiolex in patients with intractable forms of epilepsy. Regulators at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration are expected to grant market approval this summer to Epidiolex for the treatment of Dravet syndrome and Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. If approved, it will be the first non-synthetic cannabinoid available by prescription in the United States. The study, The Effects of Cannabidiol on Drop Seizures in Lennox-Gastaut Syndrome, appears in the New England Journal of Medicine. That's the end of our Hemp News segment for tonight, and John Cornett's ready to play some music.
Yes, sir. I am. You know, Paul, when you were saying all that, I couldn't help but remember a conversation Judy and I had this morning where she had mentioned the fact that, how do you say it, driving while black?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you know, basically that's the police's reason to pull over black people because, you know, of course every black person smokes marijuana, right? Right? I think that's the racist thinking that goes on. Anyway, speaking of non-racist thinking, this is a very generic song that a buddy of mine wrote. His name is Charlie Lessman, and he gave me permission to play this on the air for him. It's a beautiful song. It goes like this. Did you know the sun will shine one day? Everything on earth will melt away. All the oceans rise above the land, drowning every woman, every man. Whoa, let's make the best of it now. We'll be just another asteroid floating through the mind of Sigmund Freud. So many years we've been up on this place. Who believe the future that we face? Whoa, let's make the best of it now. 'Cause you never know when your time will pass. You've got to do just what you want to do. And if somebody tries to ruin your day, walk away. Did you know Did you know the world is acting so strange? Because our atmosphere's about to change. So many reasons why we kill the trees. Life is passing with a subtle breeze. Whoa, let's make the best of it now. Another chapter as we turn the page, and we exist within the nuclear age. Know that freedom's heard around the globe. Where our future lies, nobody knows. Whoa, let's make the best of it now. 'Cause you never know when the sky will fall. Maybe the earth will meet the moon one day. We're not the same race that we used to be. Can't you see? Now the next time that you fall in love, just appreciate the sun above. 'Cause the sun is shining on and on. Check your butt before it's gone. Whoa, let's make the best of it now. Whoa, let's make the best of it now. Whoa, let's make the best of it now. Thank you very much.
It's John. I'll be back right after, at the end of the show. One more tune. Welcome back again.
Thank you.
Sharon, it's good to have you on the show after all these years.
It's good to be here.
It's good to have you representing the Seattle Hemp Fest. We're always happy to talk about. Tell our audience a little bit about it. It's the 27th annual Seattle Hemp Fest.
27th annual Seattle Hemp Fest would take place on the beautiful downtown Seattle waterfront. It's we're Washington's oldest cannabis business in operation for 27 years. It's the world's largest annual free speech event.
What is the maximum attendance at the Seattle Hemp Fest in a day or over a weekend?
The city has put it at 250,000 people over a weekend.
That's pretty significant.
It's extremely significant, and it really just shows the power that legalization has, and that you know, we fought for so long, to get to the place where we could have legalization. And now that we have legalization, we have to fight to continue to get it right.
I know.
And it's still the whole federal struggle. You know.
Yeah, when we hear, hey, you've already made it legal, what are you still doing around anymore? You know, what, aren't you happy? Can't you go away now? You know, it's
right.
But this isn't just about legalization, though obviously that was a large part of it. I know Washington has been through a lot of changes. There was a lot of controversy in our community when marijuana was legalized there in 2012.
Yeah, it really was a dividing factor because medical marijuana got thrown under the bus. I mean, there's literally, I mean, sure, there's a in writing medical marijuana system right now, but it's not functioning and serving the people it's meant to at all. I'm sure medical patients have home grow if they want to be in a registry that was breached like 3 times within the first 3 months of existing. So, I mean, where's your privacy with your data there? And it, you know, finding actual, they allow, I mean, the list of things that you're allowed to grow cannabis with has a lot of pesticides and things on it that people believe are dangerous and that no one in a compromised medical state should be using, but yet those are the products that are available out there.
Yeah, I think there's still a long way to go. And
yeah,
the market,
there is. And it's the 5 nanogram DUI thing, too. I mean, it was completely...
has there any other state that's followed that?
No, thank goodness, too, because, you know, they even acknowledged, they arbitrarily put it in there because they heard that voters would pass it if it had a DUI component that has zero to do with impairment.
The people that put it in there, you want to identify who they were?
Oh, the people that did I-502,
so
Allison Holcomb,
it's Allison Holcomb
Rick,
and the folks behind the Drug Policy Alliance.
Yes, yes.
Same folks who came in here to Oregon kind of pushed us out of the way and gave us Measure 91 instead. The same Drug Policy Alliance folks that kind of were trying to, you know, well, one thing, you look at Soros himself, who's behind the Drug Policy Alliance, and what does he own? One of his major assets is Monsanto.
Right.
And so, I mean, you know, he's a villain in a lot of right-wing conspiracy theories out there, but I think no one can doubt that, well, it's pretty well known he broke the Bank of England in the 70s, and that's how he made his first fortune. And it seems that some of his political moves around marijuana were actually in his own corporate self-interest.
Right, right. Well, you see a lot of that happening right now. You know, you keep seeing these people flip that you didn't think would flip, and they're flipping because they're going to run some marijuana business that's going to make them a great deal of money. You know, I was having this conversation with Vivian, our executive director and one of our founders, and I was saying, God, I feel so naive about legalization and what it was going to be like. I mean, we kind of thought that, like, all of a sudden it was just going to be more of a decriminalized type of thing, and sure, you would have some level of commerce, but I mean, we have such a regulation stranglehold on it in Washington right now. You know, one of my legislators used the term, I have marijuana fatigue from talking about marijuana legislation all the time, and I'm all, well, thank goodness marijuana cures my fatigue, so I have no fatigue about coming here. And if you don't pass something to fix these things that are wrong, we're going to keep coming back. We're not going to stop.
So I know at a lot of the earlier hemp fests, there was a big police crackdown, and they've kind of backed off. I remember in 2013, the first year of legalization, the police were handing out Doritos, bags of Doritos with stickers on them saying to listen, please listen to Pink Floyd loud, but don't smoke and drive, and among other things, which was kind of cute.
You know, it's one of the things we're most proud of. One of our policies was no human enemies. Our enemy is the policy itself, and the police are doing their job. And so we had the no human enemies policy that allowed us to build bridges in a lot of areas. I mean, we still fight for our permit every year. I mean, it's still not an easy process. You would think after 27 years that we would have a cookie cutter, and it's never a cookie cutter. It's always, what new thing are they throwing at us that we have to figure out how to manage. This year's been actually pretty good. So I better knock on wood.
Yeah, really. So Nathan Marsh, you've been organizing that. This is the 4th year of the Oregon Hemp Fest.
Right, right.
And so
very different from the huge event that they have. Ours is big but small for compared.
Yeah, so. Big for Oakland.
Yeah, well,
and Roseburg.
Yeah, and for Roseburg, absolutely, and for Oregon. I think, you know, we're trying to. Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of different, same kind of things, but just different. You know, the state taking out the residency requirement, I think really screwed up a lot of the business part of legal marijuana here, from our perspective at least. But you know, for us it's about just expanding cannabis. That's really what we want to push, is more people using cannabis and appreciating it.
There's your website.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. We have a video we might as well roll right about now with one of the premier guests in the history of the Seattle Hemp Fest. I think he came twice, didn't he?
Twice, yes.
Yeah, and so let's run this video with one of the Star Wars actors this weekend. We'll be right back. I think it's ready.
Seattle Hemp Fest, and being the largest, most sophisticated cannabis policy reform event in the world, we try to make things up to you. You know, we're gonna do a countdown for the 420 here and all that stuff, but you know, I'll tell you, we felt so bad about the fact that Tommy couldn't be here that we decided to do something about it.
Trees outweigh, so ease my mind. I like to puff light in the sunshine. Pulling soft palms and flipping rhymes. I like to get high in the summertime. Trees outweigh, so ease my mind. I like to puff light in the sunshine. Pulling soft palms and flipping rhymes.
You know, there's been this rumor floating around, and I'm gonna address it right now. I gotta tell you people that I decided to quit smoking. And then I realized, hey, I'm not a quitter. I want to thank some people. First of all, I want to thank all the vendors. I want to thank the Seattle Hemp Fest for having me out here. I want to thank all these volunteers who work so hard for no money. A lot of volunteers around here. I want to thank the police for keeping the peace. I want to thank some people who don't get a lot of credit and really deserve it. I want to thank those people walking around here selling magic cookies, brownies. They don't get the credit they deserve. You guys are definitely the most energized pot smokers I've ever run across. I think it was appropriate to start here in Seattle because it's the home of the place where the young and the young of heart took to the streets and flashed a giant neon sign saying, "We're not putting up with this shit anymore. WTO, go home. Find an island." It's because there's an amazing propaganda machine in this country. Don't you think? I mean, it's a propaganda machine that makes us actually believe that we live in a democracy when we know we don't live in a democracy. I mean, it's a propaganda machine that talks about us living in a free country when we know we're not living in a free country. You're free to do whatever you want to do as long as it doesn't go against what the government wants you to do. So how are we going to turn that around? I say things like this: the Seattle Hemp Fest are the way to turn this thing around. Every one of you people who showed up here today, you're making a statement, and I'm damn proud of you. And you know what I have to say? Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And I think it will change. I think it will change. Thank you all for coming out here today. It really warms my heart.
Give me an H. Give me an E. Give me an M. Give me a P. Your turn. Outdo him. Give me an A. Give me an E. Give me an M. Give me a P. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the house band of Seattle Hemp Fest, the incredible Herbivores.
Street. I can get on out of town, but this here town's my home. Ain't hurting nobody, so leave my ass alone. Cause it's a losing battle, now that the truth is out. Even the politicians have figured this thing out. You can go ahead and inhale press, might help you loosen your tie, and legalize the herb, and drop all the lies. Cause it's a losing battle. Wake up! Every struggle for freedom, they'll put us to the test. So it's time to exercise our rights and put on a hemp fest. And we'll educate the youth. Soon will rule the land, but it's just a matter of time, and it's time to take a stand. Cause it's a losing battle, one that money can't win. Been going on for years, just keeps right on going. Like a Cold War with the commies, prohibition and the like. You can throw us all in prison, but you cannot win the fight. Cause it's a losing battle.
Good things for good people. This man Jim knows. Take a good look at him. He's been through it.
This is Vivian McPeak at Seattle Hemp Fest here at Myrtle Edwards Park. I'm with THC TV and Seattle Hemp Fest. And we just had Woody Harrelson speak, enjoying some munchies now and some refreshments. We've got the Herbivores, our house band playing. We've got so many people out there, I don't know how to count them.
Hey, Mr. Politician, time to wake up.
Okay, Well, that's an energetic song by the Herbivores. I love those guys.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Jim's a good
Me
guy.
too.
So you got a lot of things going on in preparation. I know putting on the Seattle Hemp Fest is a chore. And you've got how many volunteers?
It's an awesome chore. I mean,
yeah.
We have a HempFest Central office staff of about 15 people. And then we have a core staff, which is a group of people that coordinate different areas of HempFest of about 120 people. And then I think 800 people signed up last year to volunteer to produce the event. So
about 800 people in various waves of volunteer effort.
Yes.
Over, well, it's all, you take over the park for more than a week altogether, don't you?
10 days.
Yeah.
10 days we're on site.
And so 4 or 5 to set up, 3 days for the event?
Yes.
3 or 4 to break it down?
3 to break it down, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So how many stages do you have this year?
4.
4 stages.
4
and how
stages.
long is the whole event? It's like more than a mile, isn't it?
Well, it's about
one end to the other?
mile and a quarter long. It goes
Right.
3 parks, the Olympic Sculpture Park, Myrtle Edwards Park, and Centennial Park are the 3 parks.
But your organization has taken on a number of other events. We were just talking about some of those. You want to tell our audience about those?
Of course, we have Nathan here.
So Nathan, your event is when?
It's Father's Day weekend, June 16th and 17th.
Okay.
You know, we
Very
kind of
soon.
set this crazy goal back in, I'll say it was the end of 2011. It was before we started our first offices. And that's that we wanted every state in the country to have a hemp fest. And at this point, cannabis wasn't legal anywhere yet. We hadn't legalized it in Washington yet. And so we set out this goal that we wanted a true hemp fest, a free speech vehicle to help educate the public, including our elected officials, about, you know, the uses of the cannabis plant, you know, towards legalization, medical marijuana, and everything else. And so with that, we set out and started franchises. And I believe you were actually our very first franchise was the Oregon Hemp Fest 4 years ago. Super proud of that. It takes place in Oakland. I love the beautiful Umpqua Valley. I mean, that's just such a gorgeous part of your state here. We love it a lot.
Yeah, gorgeous.
We start our year, though, with the Boise Hemp Fest, which it takes place in April. It was April 14th, I believe.
What's the weather like in Boise in April?
You know, it was like in the 60s. It was pretty
bad.
nice.
It's not bad.
But here's the thing. Boise's scary, you guys. I mean, we drive through Oregon. We have our last little stop in Oregon, and then you have to make sure you're illegal if you even have THC in your system in Idaho. So the free speech event there is, you know, extremely important because they're fighting such draconian
it's like a
drug laws.
flashback, 20 years for Seattle,
They're one
right?
of the 4 states that has absolutely no level. Every other state has either CBD only medical or decriminalization. And even CBD only isn't far enough, but it's a foot in the door, so to speak. Then we have the Oregon Hemp Fest, the 15th and 16th of June. The 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of June is the Alaska Hemp Fest, which takes place in Wasilla, Alaska. And that's
Wasilla, is that down near Juneau, or where is Wasilla?
No, it's actually,
Such a big
kind
state.
of north west of Anchorage, about an hour outside of Anchorage. And that's another camping event. I wish I could go to that one so bad. I have a friend getting married this year, so I can't. But then we have the Sedona Hemp Fest in Sedona. It's the Red Rock Hemp Fest in Sedona, Arizona, the 28th and 29th of September. And then we have the Viva Las Vegas Hemp Fest happening October 20th. We're so happy to be working with the producer, Jeremy Miller, who produced the Olympia Hemp Fest, so he knows
really
what a true hemp fest is. So it's going to allow us to kind of rebrand ourselves in that market, because we worked with someone initially. It was a really big learning curve for us in the Vegas market with the person we were working with that we had to disengage with because he just really wasn't upholding the standards of the brands in a lot of ways. So we're happy to be back there with someone we know will treat it the right way. Then we have 2 kind of in the wind there, and one is the Oklahoma Hemp Fest, which, I mean, man, a hemp fest in Oklahoma.
Yeah, we had
So
someone
exciting.
come on and talk about that. We hope it comes together.
Yeah, it's going to be in September the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Then we have our first international hemp fest, the Jamaica Hemp Fest, which is shaping up for October 12th of this year they're shooting for. And then this is so special for me to tell you. We adopted some men doing life without parole for cannabis. One of them was George Monterano, and we did lots of letter writing campaigns and fundraising and different things to support them. George had a resentencing hearing in 2015 and was released and has been at 2 hemp fests. I made a logo. You're not going to get this for the Atlantic City Hemp Fest. And George Monterano, someone we helped get out of doing federal life in prison, is going to be the producer of that Hemp Fest. How badass is that? That is just absolutely amazing.
That is.
So, and that will be September. He's shooting for September of 2019.
What
for
part
their
of New Jersey?
First, Atlantic City.
Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Know some people in that area.
Yep. Yep. Super excited for that.
On the boardwalk.
On the boardwalk.
Well, that sounds exciting, like you said.
It is super
I know
exciting.
another news out of New Jersey this week is that longtime activist Edward Fortune, the New Jersey hemp man, he was acquitted of jury tampering. So he is out of jail. We want to congratulate Ed for, I think he was held about 8 months, or maybe more, on that jury tampering, because he got the jury in a marijuana case to find him not guilty. So he had to commit jury tampering, right? But he defended himself and won that. So I'm sure he'll be at your New Jersey Hemp Fest when that comes up. I know I saw him last at the Seattle Hemp Fest a few years back. So that'll be good. We are taking a few phone calls. If you have a question for Nathan of the Oregon Hemp Fest or Sharon of the Seattle Hemp Fest, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. And reach out to us. We also have a studio audience. You're welcome to come down and join the studio audience. And there's a in-house microphone if somebody in the audience wants to ask a question. So, Nathan, tell us more about your event coming up on it's the 16th and 17th of next month, June.
Yeah, and then we have kind of a pre-party on Friday. But it's camping and vendors, and really represents the Oregon industry. And we kind of have a rule we call inclusive, which is just try to get as many of the brands that we respect and appreciate involved. And then we have speakers. We're going to have a wedding at 420 on Saturday, group cannabis wedding. And then we have Indubious, and you can see we're also giving away a car. The dispensary is giving away a car that's all wrapped in cannabis. So that'll be interesting.
So you are also working on the Mojo House, is that right?
Yeah,
somebody
so
told
I'm
me you
part
were
of
doing
the
that. This new cannabis center in
we're trying
Roseburg?
we're trying to put together a smoking lounge, and right now kind of navigating the laws in Oregon. And there is one here that we're kind of trying to do as well as the I think it's Northwest Cannabis Club. I think they're in Seattle too. But we've also heard that they've gotten a bunch of fines, so we're just trying to make sure that we do it right. And then there's some infrastructure stuff that we have to do with the building. But yeah, we'd like to make a cannabis lounge in Douglas County. One of the first counties
an event coming up with Timothy Edwards and some others on I think it's Saturday, June 2nd there.
Yeah, and now we're just doing private
old friends
events.
of mine, Louis Montano and John Sajo, who I moved here to Oregon in '84 to help both of those guys put marijuana legalization on the ballot. And we did it in '85. That was the second vote on marijuana legalization in U.S. history. The first was in California in 1972. Wow. So the one in Oregon in '86 was the second one.
No, I've really been honored to work with John and Louis, and those guys are, if I can be half the activist they are, I'll feel pretty good about myself. So they're awesome.
The Hemp Fest screen scrolling here, and we also have there's Sajo on your screen there with the Umpqua Cannabis Association. We have a video with Jody Emery from Canada at the Seattle Hemp Fest. We're going to roll that video, and we'll be back in just a moment. They're ready for that in the studio.
H. Give me an E. Give me an M. Give me a P. What's that smell? What's that smell? What's that smell?
All right, please. Jody Emery is going to come up here and say a few words right before the 420 countdown. She is such a sweet lady. I'd really like a big applause for her. Come on, Jody Emery.
Thank you so much. Happy Hemp Fest, everybody! And by my watch, it's 4:14, so I got 6 minutes to get 4:15. I want you to all remember that this is a free event, and really, truly, give what you can when you're leaving the park. They didn't take money from you coming in. Please leave them some money when you're going home, because 3 days of amazing, amazing speakers, music, education, information, everything you could need is here in Seattle. And Seattle has been so good to me. And my husband, Mark Emery. His name is Mark Emery. He's known as the Prince of Pot. He raised millions of dollars. Mark Emery raised millions of dollars for the marijuana movement here in the USA, in Canada, and around the world because he sold marijuana seeds. His mission was to plant the seeds of freedom and overgrow the government. Please be gentle with the camera board. Let's get some good shots of the crowd with this camera. My husband's mission was to free the weed people, the cannabis culture. You are members of the cannabis culture. We celebrate our peacefulness, our tolerance, our love, our diversity. Our culture is important. We are non-violent, and we should not be hurt by the law or the government or anyone at all. So demand to be free. Set the example for the world, because Canada is going backwards. Canada has a George Bush government in Stephen Harper. Boo is right. And my Canadian government sent my Canadian husband down here to the United States to face a 5-year prison sentence. Mark is the Prince of Pot, known around the world because he sold seeds when no one else could get them. When California made medical marijuana legal, Mark Emery sent them millions of seeds. And when they sent him millions of dollars, and Americans and people around the world sent him millions of dollars, he gave that money back. He financed the U.S. Marijuana Party court cases, suing the government. All your ballot initiatives and activist groups, they were all helped by the seeds and the money from Mark Emery. And he has 3 years left to go in Mississippi. And his desire, my desire, our desire is freedom for all prisoners, freedom from all the pot prisoners. We are non-violent. We deserve to be free, and we deserve to celebrate our culture. It's 4/17 by my watch. Let me know if it's different by yours. Coming close, get close to your brothers and sisters, our fellow freedom fighters. We're here to celebrate our culture. 420 is our number, is our time. We know that there are millions and millions of people smoking right now with you all across America, Canada, all around the world. We deserve to be free. My husband deserves to be free, and all prisoners deserve to be free.
Okay. Well, yeah, 420 is a big deal at the Seattle Hemp Fest.
It is.
Wasps of smoke come from the crowd.
Huge
inspirational.
clouds. I've been there a few times.
I would venture to say that if the Guinness Book of World Records would say that more pot has been smoked on that piece of earth over the course of the 21 years that we've been in those parks than anywhere else on earth, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down.
You're probably
Yeah.
right. Probably right.
Yeah.
Eric, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, and in all those many of years of Hemp Fest, how many big actors have you had on stage? Or,
I'm sorry?
Actors, activists, big names have you had advocating
names
for
can you
us?
drop on us?
Yeah, tell us who's out there that has our back.
Woody Harrelson, Dennis Kucinich, Mike McGinn, who was our mayor of the city of Seattle, Paul, why can't I say, Norm Stamfer, sorry, who was the Seattle police chief, which is another big deal to have him speaking from your stage.
Yeah, we've had the police stop our Portland Hempstock Festival. They basically, one year in the 90s, they had a counter event with helicopters and boats and all kinds of law enforcement bling to try to scare people off from coming to our event.
Wow. So yeah, at ours they're giving away Doritos and they're speaking from the stage, but that just goes with the hand in hand. And why can't I say his name? Julia Roberts' brother was there last year too, Eric Roberts. So that was exciting to have him at HempFest.
I actually held off, and I have 2 of those bags of Doritos that are unopened still.
Yeah.
You can get
yeah,
some money
those
on
are
eBay
super
for
special.
those.
Right.
Yeah, we actually don't have police at ours. It's a private piece of property, and the county actually, we talked to the sheriff 4 years ago, and they've been actually very understanding and okay with it. And in Oregon, we don't have this crazy DUI lynching going on. We actually have what's called a DRE, which if you're in Oregon, the phrase is P, don't DRE, which is basically to save your rights. And DRE is kind of an extensive, I guess, impairment test that they do at the actual police facility, and it is opinion. So, yeah.
Oh, there's one of the infamous bags of Doritos. I'm not sure how those are pulled up, but there's the sticker. The police stuck on there.
Right.
That one was unopened then. How long did it last? That's the question. So you guys need more volunteers, though, and booth sales at both of your events, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
How do people contact you to find out more?
So everything for us is at hempfest.org. We have, again, 700 volunteers. Some of the crews I want to kind of pimp out. You know, we actually were on site 10 days. Our kitchen serves 4 meals a day to all of the volunteers. They serve over 8,000 meals. So you not only, when you volunteer, you get a cool staff shirt, and you get a meal for every shift that you work as well. And the fuzzy feeling of producing the world's largest annual free speech
and a
event,
community
too.
of friends.
Yeah,
and
it really
associates.
does become a family is the other thing. It's almost like a family reunion when it happens, because people kind of come from the 4 corners of the earth, so to speak.
It's like a national marijuana high school
Seattle.
reunion,
It
isn't
is.
it?
It is. That is a good way of putting it, and
it
especially
is.
since it's been going on for 27 years.
Some other,
So.
I mean, I can think of a few people. Keith Stropp has been there,
Yes.
Jack Hare,
Yes.
just tons. Anyone you can think of in the history of the marijuana movement.
Ed Rosenthal,
has pretty much been there.
Yeah. Yeah. Jorge Cervantes. I mean, there's just, the list is endless.
Yeah. I mean, on an average year, you have more than 100 speakers.
There's about 120 speakers over the 3 days. The speakers are really, that's really what HempFest is HempFest is a platform for activists to get their, message out, where we really empower people to help change the world.
And tell us about your lineup. Nathan, coming up here on June 16th and 17th.
So we have
starts
a bunch of
on
speakers
Saturday
as
morning?
well. Well, there's a pre-party for VIPs that we're doing 50 tickets on Friday.
I see.
A big thing, I think, is the businesses like to network.
50 tickets is not very many.
Well, we only want a little bit of the public because it's mostly a pre-party for sponsors and vendors.
I see.
Saturday it starts at noon, and we've got 2 stages and a quiet camp and a party camp, so people can be late at night in a dome. We have a 32-foot dome. And Dubious is playing $1 check. You can go to our website at OregonHempFest.org.
$1 check is a band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a $1.
I think you'd like them. They're very they're very free-thinking people. They're political, so I like them a lot. And we have a main stage of 2 days of music, and again, 420 is a big time for us. On the main stage, we give out a bunch of stuff and have a wedding, and that's when we will be giving away the car. Is at 420 on Saturday. So, yeah.
What kind of car is it?
I think it's a Nissan Z something. I think that's right. It's a sports car kind of thing, and it's pretty neat. What's that? 350Z.
There it is.
Yeah, I think that's Nissan Z 380Z. Okay,
so what's the deal? How do you buy tickets? Is it a raffle?
Well, yeah. So interestingly, raffles are illegal to do unless you're a nonprofit. So Seattle Hemp Fest is doing it directly. We're doing it directly through them at the event, and it's a local dispensary, FX420, that's donating the car and wrapping it. And they want to obviously get some promotional value on whoever gets the car. So we're going to give it away and sell tickets right there in that weekend and give away a car.
You know, I know you mentioned Jorge Cervantes is one of your speakers. He's been on our show a number of times. He's an Oregonian, as you may know, and we have a video with him. We'll be right back after this little short video.
Boy, well, I hope you're as ready as I am, because I'm going to take you on a tour unlike anything you've ever seen. Today, we're going to enter the world of outdoor gardening, deep in the California backcountry, where we will visit some of the most spectacular gardens I've ever been able to visit since I started writing about the cannabis industry almost 30 years ago. These gardens aren't just incredible, they're medical. All certified and regulated under California state law to provide medicine to medicinal dispensaries. Now, because of the way medical cannabis laws are written in California, growers are forced to adapt their practices. This includes not only growing as many plants as the law allows, but growing them to huge proportions. And one of the things we'll see is by using just a few simple techniques, it's possible not only to grow huge plants, but beautiful buds and potent medicine at the same time. So sit back and enjoy the view as we begin our journey to the green giants of California. I'm here in Northern California in this beautiful cannabis garden, medicinal cannabis garden, that's full of a cornucopia of strains. Let's go on a tour and you'll see what I mean. At a medical marijuana grower's house. This is actually the bedroom window. And let's take a look out and see what it looks like. Well, there's the garden. Incredible. These plants are 10 to 12 feet tall. It's amazing. I can't believe these things. They're huge. And I'll tell you, you can grow plants just like this. These things are in 200-gallon containers. The average they're getting is 10 gallons of water a day. And the nutrients in here are all mixed early on. But they can mix more nutrients and inject them into the fertilization system. Let's go see how they do that. That's actually pretty interesting. Boy, it's a little while to get over there. Man, look at this. These plants are huge. This blue dream has really come on nicely. I can't believe it. This is a lower bud. Huh? They're everywhere. Well, over here, we can hear the dosatron. I love these dosatrons. They're really cool. They're easy to use, very easy to use. You see you've got this little hose right here.
So you can see more of that video out there on the internet. You know, Jorge, along with a number of other cannabis channels, have had all of their videos taken off YouTube here recently. Jorge had over 1,000 on there and wow, tens of thousands of subscribers. Marijuana Television, one of the Spanish language's main sources of information, has been taken down. Greenhouse Seeds and the Strain Hunters, they've recently been taken off of YouTube. So we're going and find, we've been running our videos from YouTube. And so we've been running Jorge's videos with his permission. Now he's given up on YouTube. He doesn't even want, he feels insulted by it. But other people are put this video and others up there. And he supports that, but he's not going to put any more of his videos on there. He feels he's been wronged. But they haven't taken yours down.
Not yet. And Facebook has done the same thing. And it's something we live in kind of fear of. I mean, we have, through our social media channels, over 200,000 followers, which is a lot to us. I mean, it's not the millions that, movie stars and whatever get. But, and it's just so significant to know that that could be taken away from you at any second.
We are down to just our last minute. The website for the Seattle Hemp Fest?
Hempfest.org.
Hempfest.org, and you need volunteers, you need booth sales. You are in the same situation, Nathan, and that's Oregon, hempfest.org.
Yep, very easy. Just put it.
Anything else you guys want to say in closing?
Thank you.
Sorry for the abrupt ending here.
Thank you, Paul, for doing this.
Hey, it's
and
my
I'm so
pleasure
happy
too.
to be here with Nathan too. That's just awesome.
Good to have you
it
here
is.
Too. I want to thank our viewers. Tune in next week. Mr. John Cornette's got a few moments of song. Help us restore him.
Re-educate, sound the alarm, investigate. Now is the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa, now's the time. Now is the time.
That's it. So